How's everybody doing today? Today we got a Dodge Journey in the shop. It's in the nicest color I've ever seen on one of these. Mind you, I don't really look at these because, it's modern and for the most part I don't really care. But this is a very, very low mileage vehicle and it's super nice, except we had a little bit of bubbling going on here, a little bit right there, and just a tiny bit down here on the opposite side. I should have done a few videos in between, but I did all the work in like a few hours, so I'll show you what we done. At one time we found out it must have been hit right here, and they basically filled it with filler and repainted probably just this back panel. They probably just blended it in and clear coated it, and it failed. So there was all this cheesy bubbling going on back here, and you could tell it didn't really fit with the plastic well when it's all locked in place. So what I did, when we ground it all off, we could see that the filler was higher than what was rotten. So we took all the rotten out. We made a little metal plate, put it in, and it fit in past to the filler, which was great because we were able to just fill across it. And it's super smooth. The shape is nice. We just barely touched metal here. That's from the edge of the plate, and then it came up into the back. The color you see here isn't metal. That's actually probably fiberglass. Well, this is fiberglass. This might be through the blue paint. I basically did a fiberglass filler first and then smoothed it out with the really good stuff that I like, because then I could just kind of do it by hand, and I basically reformed it with 80, then 220, and then 320. Now, the sealer I'm going to use will make that super nice off of 320. We're going to use a matrix base coat. We'll paint and then blend it. Same with that, we'll come up so high, and we'll probably just kind of concentrate here. The blend will sort of happen here by accident. And then what we'll do is we'll clear coat the whole panel. I'll probably come up and hide the clear coat line in here, which will be great. It'll be totally fine. This is a driver, this is not a show car. Yes, you can actually run that up there and all the way down to the front. We're not doing that, we're cutting it off there. No one's ever gonna know, except you guys, because I told you. But what we found on the vehicle, and this is the same for a lot of these Chrysler Jeep products, whether they're good or bad, you guys can discuss that. I don't care one way or the other. But anyway, they do have a few bad points. And right here on these is always a bad point. So what we did, all this was okay. There was a couple places where it wasn't 100%. But this down here would have rotted out soon. So basically we knocked all the rot out and cut some of it out. And there wasn't much, but I went ahead and recreated a whole new lip out of fresh steel. And we put a little bend on it around. So I basically made a little bit of an L. And you can see right there, that lip, that's where the metal stops. And basically, and you can see it a bit here, but it kind of goes up here. So what I did is I took a flat piece and we just put a little bit of a 90 on it and came up over the edge. Took a grinder, ground it smooth this way, and then filled it. You can see the glass, fiberglass filler, and then all the scratches are filled in with just your regular filler, the transition here. But the whole lip is basically a new piece of steel. And what this does is it just buys you a bunch of time. Will water and crap get up in there? Sure, it'll probably rot out again down the road. But we took most of the rot out. We basically capped it. So that should be okay. And we did the same thing on the other side. And on the other side, it was nowhere near as bad. But, the metal was starting to go a little bit wavy. So by doing that, you've bought a bunch of time. So the rest of the vehicle, like there's not a chip, scratch, bubble, anything on the vehicle anywhere else, which is rare because usually when I see these, I tell people they're not worth doing because everything is toast. This one, you can see we did the same thing. Now this one was a little worse. The other one was more preventative, where this side was actually worse. So I made the lip all the way a little bigger, and you can see here it actually comes up into here. And we filled it in. We knocked it in, filled it in. And now this side, we're probably going to hide the line right on this edge, or possibly in this edge. I suppose we could come up to there, but again, it's a daily driver. It's a Dodge Journey. We're not going to put a ton of money into this. We did find another spot, though, that is kind of... And if you're looking at Jeeps, any Jeep, and I mean a lot of other vehicles as well, when the door comes here and they put the rubber here, here's what happens. So it's pretty good. Yeah, you see a little bit of glue and dirt. That's not actually rust you're looking at in the picture. But when you come down to here, it is. You can see how there's like layers here and it's all swollen. We're probably going to cut a little chunk out of this. I'm not getting into removing that. Customer said, nah, just clean it. Well, I don't really know what he meant by that, but anyway, he's not paying to do anything here just for the looks. But I am going to go ahead and burn that with a little bit of acid. I suppose you could do navel jelly. We're going to cut a little chunk out of here just so it's open to the next piece of metal. And we're just going to treat it as best we can and just gravel guard over that spot and put the rubber back on. That's all we're doing down there. To fix it right, that should come off. That should be cut out and new metal welded in. I know the guy that owns this, so I'm not going to worry about it if he said don't worry about it. But a year from now, that'll fall apart and he'll bring it back and we'll weld a chunk in there. And that's why I'm not worried about it, because he's pretty good at doing so much every so often. And whatever you charge him, he always pays. He's a good guy, so who cares? But the spots that were a big concern, we've basically dealt with. And I think it's going to look good. So I just wanted to do this quick video. I got to say, like the reflection in the paint, like for a vehicle that's not an expensive vehicle. Well, I mean, maybe they are. I don't know. I don't buy Journeys. I don't know much about them. It's not what I'm into. But I mean, it's a good looking color. It's almost a nice looking vehicle. It's so many of the new SUVs now or crossovers, whatever. They all got that bubble buggy sort of look. I mean, I don't know what to call them. It's like you can get one of those Mach-E's, which looks exactly like the Kia, which looks exactly like the Chevy. And I'm sure if I stand out on my street and look up and down the road, we'll see 4 of them, and at least 2 of them are white or silver. So, you know, to see that this one's a kind of a half wagon, half van, but I mean, it's also kind of sporty. It's too bad they kind of have their issues because it's a good looking vehicle. The guy says he's had no real issues with this other than every so often you're doing brake work and stuff. But again, 100,000 kilometers on it. Usually anyone I talk to that owns these any longer than that, they tend to have issues with electronical things and weird little things and sensors and, you know, the typical, basically all the Jeep stuff built under Fiat. So hopefully this new Stellantis thing for Chrysler will be better. I do like my Dodge Ram, but other than that, I don't usually recommend you buy anything else from them. I mean, if you want a value truck with a Hemi in it, they seem to be mostly pretty good. They have their issues like the other ones do as well, but I find like all this stuff, you know, the calibers and yeah, I don't know. They don't seem to hold up well long term, so why do it? Like the old Caravans that had the 3.3s were good as far as the Pentarstars go. Some people have them, they run a long time. Some people put like motors in them, so modern times, right? Everything's built on the cheap. But yeah, I don't know. I've known a lot of people that have had issues with these. This one would be an exception. But it's also low mileage and not driven much. But I do think it's too bad that they have the reputation they got, because I mean, it is a nice looking vehicle. It's too bad. But anyway, enough of that. So basically that's what we did. We put some new metal in, 3 little pieces. little bit of fiberglass, blocked it with some rough 80, then put our smooth stuff on and blocked that with 180, and then I went back over it with 320 till everything was smooth, smooth, smooth. It should be close enough that the primer sealer I use will cover that up real nice. We'll just shoot our blue and kind of blend it out. We're going to use the matrix because I find when you get these dark metallic colors, you can literally just kind of shoot it off. They blend in just fine. So that's what we're going to do. And then clear coat a little more. So that's what we're doing today. I don't know if I showed in my last video. I think I did a short or something, but we painted a few of the pieces here for the Rumblebee. I just haven't had a chance to get the parts on the truck because it's fall and we're busy with the regular day-to-day stuff. And some people say you should keep your videos always coming out. I usually just like to do videos on the cool stuff and not, you know, the Dodge Journeys of the world. But it's part of life, so we'll do one. It is what it is. And I'll do a quick update if I remember, I hope. When it's done, maybe we'll park it outside tomorrow and do a walk around and just to show you how the blue turns out. But yeah, I'm not worried about it at all. This stuff seems to be pretty decent, and anytime I've used the Matrix base coat and clear coat, I'm always happy, every time. I've used a lot of different paints, and if I'm worried about a color or the amount of metallic in it changing the color, anything like that, or I want to do a blend without blenders and all this other craziness, you make everything basically 400. That's what it says on their TDS sheet. You can go, I think, between 4 and 6 or something with Matrix. But we'll do 4 because, again, daily driver. And whatever we're going to clear coat, make sure that's all sanded. Then we're going to run a foam J-tape across that. But we're only going to paint so high and then let it blend off. And then basically clear coat up to the J-tape. And after your last clear, you give it about 5-10 minutes, like enough to flash, but not dry. But then it's still wet enough. When you pull the J-tape, there's almost no ridge. Like I could literally hide it right in here. And I mean, it would be so fine. And I don't do a bunch of cutting and buffing. I'm just not into that. This is not an expensive job. Nobody's paying a gazillion dollars. This is not a Porsche. Now, if I was doing something like that and it was a big paying job, we would clear coat all the way up and around and all the way down to the front. But this is what it is. Yeah, we're going to hide the clear coat up here. On the other side, I don't know if I'm even going to go beyond here. We'll see how I feel when I'm sanding it later. I mean, if this clear is soft, like what they put on Mazdas, we might go ahead and clear coat both sides up to this line because that'll be the best way to hide it. You know, you've got to have a place to cut it off unless you're going to go up and around. But I mean, why would you redo all that? And then later that can peel. It probably won't, but let's face it, you're not going to do a good job, right? Because this isn't a Porsche. Again, this is a Journey. So we'll probably just come up to these and stop. Anyway, that's it for today. Cheers.